Good. The breaking relationship. This relationship is one of the strongest and foundational relationship. The breaking relationship. Now just think about this. A building. If the foundation of the building is not strong, if it is shaky, then we all agree that all other parts of the building will be weakened. And who knows, sooner or later, the building will collapse. So in this video, we spot out and expose the breaking relationship, the patterns knowingly or unknowingly contributing to this breaking relationship. And of course, we discuss how this affects our lives negatively so that we can start working on how to improve this breaking relationship. Good enough. We are not saying the broken relationship. We're looking at a situation where this relationship that is still in the breaking process can be repaired so that the relationship will be strong and continue further. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, hit the subscription button. All right, patiently watch this video to the end because you are going to learn something that will be helpful to the family and also to parents as well as to individual as a child in a family. Welcome to TElReality channel. What is this breaking relationship that I want to talk about in this video? Remember, we said this is the foundational relationship and of course one of the most important relationships that we can think about. This is the parent-child relationship. How this affects the future of the child. And make no mistake, when a child is affected negatively, it is important that we understand that this will affect the society. And by extension, it will affect the world. It will affect you and me. That is why it is important that we discuss the parent-child relationship. This relationship is breaking. What is causing this progressive breaking in parent-child relationship? And what are the negative impacts this will have on you and on me, either directly or indirectly? Please note, the term family as used in this video will be referring to people related by blood or by some form of legal arrangement, for example, by marriage or by adoption. And when we talk about the child that's used in this video, it refers to infants, preteens, teenagers, generally age bracket from 0 to 21. So the relationship between these ones and the parent, how it affects their future, which, as we know, no doubt, generally in the world, this relationship is on a progressive decline. It is breaking. It is just like a ball placed on a cliff, okay? And then you release the ball. What happens? It rolls. It moves far away from the peak of that cliff. This is what has been observed. Relationship between parent and the child, communication between parent and the child is on a steady decline. We're going to give attention to the common pattern, what is leading to it. And like I said, how it affects us so that we can start working on it. Either knowingly or unknowingly, parents are engaged in the patterns that is leading to this steady decline in the relationship between parents and the child. So I want to see how we can expose it, talk about it so that our dear parents can start working on it. And of course, younger ones can see what they need to do in order to also improve this relationship. First, I would like to ask this question to parents. Imagine that you have opportunity to give your child one out of the three gifts I am going to mention. One of the option is money. Two, the second option is elaborate merriment. Three, your quality time and attention. Which one out of these three would you want to give your child as a gift? What about the child? Out of these three options as gift, which one would you really love to receive from your parent? Please drop your comments or write your thought in the comment section below. I'll read it so that we can learn which of these three gifts do we think is most important. No doubt we understand that in the world today, with the tough economy, parents are working hard. They are working tirelessly, even sometimes more than necessary, to provide for their children. That we are all aware because of the situation in the world. But sadly, either knowingly or unknowingly, parents have allowed this trend to affect their relationship and communication with their children. And this is affecting the child negatively. And of course, it has either direct or indirect impact on all of us. So while we understand that the economy is tough, sure, the fact that the way we approach it could affect the child is something of importance. Now, I want to give attention to the common trends, the patterns, all right, promoted. Generally, many parents are involved in it, which are responsible for the steady decline, the breaking of the relationship between parents and the child. We are going to highlight on some of these patterns. Feel free to drop your own thoughts in the comment section and what you feel can be done in order to improve the situation. Now, one of the common trends is the idea that some parents have, fathers, mothers, with respect to their children. Most times, the feeling that the child is so naive, and so whatever the child wants to say is a child talk. Some parents feel that they cannot engage with their younger ones, right? With their children. Why? Because they feel that the child is simply a child, and so knows nothing that will warrant them as parents to engage with them in a discussion. Okay? So some parents have this feeling, this is just a child, what am I going to discuss with him or with her? This is a common pattern, and this pattern affects the parent-child relationship. Because when as a parent, we feel that, okay, this is just a child, what do I have to discuss with him or with her? We start creating this distance between the parent and, of course, the child. It happens naturally, even sometimes without our knowing. Secondly, we will agree, as observed, that some parents are naturally scared, right? Or they feel less concerned of discussing certain topics with their children, with the child. Topics like friendship, topics like sex, topics like marriage, topics like technology, the use of technology. So some parents have these feelings, like they are naturally scared of wanting to discuss such topics with their children. Why some parents are just less concerned. They don't feel the need to have this discussion with them. Now remember that some of these topics are things that the child would sometimes really want to talk about. Because of course, among their peers, such topic can be raised to include, things about good friendship, things about bad friendship, who to befriend, all right, who to be close to. Things like sex, things like marriage, things like the use of technology. Yes, these days, these are things. Even topics like money, how to make money, the right way of making money. These are topics that, the child may find himself or herself wanting to discuss. and amongst their peer, they could be involved in discussing them. But coming to the aspect of parents, some parents are just naturally scared of wanting to discuss that. Or maybe some are just less concerned. They feel that this is not, or these are not topics to engage their children with. Now, this can create a barrier, bringing distance, all right, between the parent and the child. I had sometimes engage with a parent who feels that he cannot, allow the child to use a device until the child is 18 years. Until the child is 18 years, he won't allow the child to use a phone. Well, some of these things are personal matters, right? But then the question would be, what is your reason for not allowing the child to use that? If the child is in his teen, what is your reason for preventing the child to have access to a phone? Okay, so you see that natural fear. Oh, if we expose them to the use of phone, it could get them spoiled. And then I just wonder, is it the phone that spoils the child or something else? Could we rather discuss the right use and the wrong use of this technology? Come to think about it, we are in a world where we are just moving deep and deep and deeper into the use of technology. When it comes to academic work, even when we teach, you find out that even some schools, some institutions, they encourage, their scholars to make use of technology, of course, in their personal studies, in assignments. So for how long would we continue being scared of discussing some of these sensitive topics with the child? So the fact that some parents have this fear, or they feel less concerned of discussing some of these topics, creates this barrier leading to the breaking relationship between the parent and the child. Like I said, this is a common pattern, and we are spotting them out, exposing them, so we will be aware that these very things affect the parent-child relationship. Another common pattern that is causing breakage in the parent-child relationship is one common idea that some parents entertain. Some parents feel that once they provide food and pay for the fees of the child is sufficient. They have provided everything the child needs. The rest of the things, if it comes to maybe taking decisions, certain actions that the child might want to take, go and learn it from school. Your teachers are there. So that pattern, right? That ideology of provided food, of paid for your fees is sufficient. It is another thing that creates barrier, distancing the parent from the child, hence leading to the breaking relationship. Like we said, all these things, they have their own impact. Sadly, negative impact. We've been able to spot out and expose about 3 key areas, right? 3 key patterns, somehow promoted by some in the world today, which leads to the breaking relationship, which leads to the breakage of one of the foundational relationships. Yes, foundational relationship, because the starting point of a relationship is with the family. And of course, it starts from the parent and the child. But these 3 patterns that have been spotted and exposed are things that contribute to the steady decline, the breaking of the parent-child relationship. You may have yours, other things to add up to these 3, patterns that have been spotted out and exposed as causing a breakage in parent-child relationship. Feel free to add up to these ones. You can make your comments in the comment section below so that everyone can also learn from it. And of course, when this video comes across parent, they want to also take note of that, because like I said, sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, some parents engage in these patterns, creating this distance between them and their children without understanding or without knowing it. And you see, these have terrible negative consequence, impact on the child. And like I said from the beginning of this video, once any child is affected negatively, please, it's important that we all are aware that either directly or indirectly, this will affect you. This will affect me. So what are some of the negative impacts of the breaking relationship between parent and the child. Let's talk about them a little. And remember, like I said, if you have yours, feel free to drop your comment in the comment section so that everyone can learn. Our aim is to spot out and expose these areas and then encourage ourselves, motivate ourselves to align our life, adjust to the truth, because the truth will set us free. At least will help us to have an improved relationship when it comes to the family circle, especially between the parent and the child. The negative impact of the breaking relationship. Now, over the years, meeting with some young ones, and sometimes I engage them in discussion, and the impact the breaking relationship between parents and children have on them is so terrible. Is so terrible. Being in the field of academics, I am exposed to so many people, all right, of course, whom I teach. And sometimes there are certain behaviors I may observe, and you want to work on the child to see how the child can improve. Somehow, if need be, academically, and you would see the negative impact it is having on them when, of course, you observe that there is a barrier in the relationship between them and the parent. Okay? So one of this negative impact is that the child grows up with this mindset, this feeling that the parent does not understand them. Right? They feel that, oh, my parents do not understand me. You hear things like, I can't talk to my parent because they would never listen. They will never listen. So some of these young ones grow with this ideology. And of course, it is dangerous. It is dangerous. Secondly, you observe some children, right? Some young ones, as they are growing, because of this feeling they've had already as a result of the breaking relationship, the relationship between the parent and the child, going down, declining. Some of these children grow up with that mindset that they cannot discuss their problem with their parent. Are we aware when it comes to the child-parent relationship? The truth is, the first people that have the right to get to know anything about their child is, of course, the parent. But because of this breaking relationship, some young ones decide never to discuss their worries, their challenges with their parent. And what do you now find them doing? They have any challenge, any problem, they prefer to go and discuss it, sometimes with their peers. It could be that their peers are naive, inexperienced. Most of them might not be able to advise them in the right way. It happens. So you see the negative impact when the child is growing up, for the fact that the parents have created that barrier. Yes, I'm saying the parent because parents, you have a lot of role to play in this area. Yes, you have a lot of role to play in this area. As to whether the relationship between the parent and the child will be strong, much of it depends on the parent. But by the time that barrier has been created, you give the child the mindset to feel that you can just never understand them. You are never always there to discuss. The child now begins to carry his or her problems to his peers, to her peers, who most of them, like I said, are naive, inexperienced. And of course, in some cases, if not most cases, will advise them in the wrong direction. Very important to take note of this negative impact. Another negative impact of the breaking relationship between the parent and the child. The worst of it. But we hope it doesn't get there. However, it is sad to say that some young ones have this idea already, where their parents, somehow, some way, they start looking at them as their worst enemy. Like I said, we hope and pray it doesn't get to that extent. But even if it does get to it, The idea here, the whole idea of this video is spotting out these patterns and the negative impact it has. And then for us to work towards restructuring and rebuilding that foundational relationship, because it's very, very important. So that third negative impact I've mentioned, where sometimes you see some young ones start looking at their parents like enemies. So bad. It's dangerous. And so parents want to work on this. They want to take note of it. Very dangerous. The next negative impact the breaking relationship between the parent and the child may have is the mental, the physical, the emotional, the moral, the social, and the academic impact on the child. Whenever there is this breakdown in relationship between the parent and the child, clearly this has this terrible impact on the mental state of the child. It affects the physical health of the child. It affects the moral upbringing of the child. What about the social life of the child? At school, the way the child behaves would just be nothing to write home about. It affects the academic performance and development of the child also. These are dangerous negative impacts that the breaking relationship has. And of course, it calls for us to give serious attention to this breaking relationship. Parents want to work really hard. This video is not in any way to blame the parents. Not at all. Not at all. Remember, one of the major purposes of this channel is to spot out and expose certain common patterns that have been prioritized over truth. Imagine a parent feeling that, okay, I have nothing to discuss with the child. Perhaps it could be the way one of their friend acts. It could be the idea that one of their friend promotes. I don't discuss with my children because these are just children. A child, what do I have to talk with a child? Imagine a friend of a particular parent promoting the idea, all I have or whatever, what I owe my child is just paying the school fees, providing food, that's all. Imagine promoting the idea that whatever the child wants to say is just a child talk. So there is no need of discussing with, I can't engage with the child. You have nothing to say. These patterns are being prioritized by some people rather than the truth. The truth is, the child really has something to say. No matter how silly that is, could we as parents just listen to them? Listen to the child. In this silly talk, there might be some way you can help the child. And you think it's all about providing food and paying fees only? There are so many things the growing child wants to discuss with you as a parent. Can you give the child that feeling to believe, to know that yes, I have a parent, I have a mother, I have a father who is my friend. If we do this, we'll be helping to curb, we'll be helping to reduce as much as possible, even if it is difficult to eliminate. But we can, to a greater extent, reduce the negative impact the breaking relationship will have on the growing child. So far, what are the take-home from this video? We have found out that there are common patterns that have been promoted and prioritized over the truth that leads to the breaking relationship, bringing a barrier between the parent and the child. Some of these patterns that have been prioritized include the fact that some parent might feel that whatever their child brings up as a topic to discuss is just a child's talk. You know nothing. Feeling that I don't have anything to discuss with a child, is just growing, he knows nothing. Feeling that, okay, the only thing I owe my child is just providing food and paying fees. The rest, go to school and then your teacher will handle that. These patterns, they are really, really devastating. Yes, they are devastating. They are not the truth. We've also learned that these patterns, because they lead to a barrier, breaking relationship between the parent and the child, they have negative impact on the child, to include mental effects, to include emotional trauma, to include moral breakdown. The child is affected socially. The child's academic development, low and poor. We've learned that these are possible negative impacts that this could have on the growing child. And don't forget, a wounded child, one child being affected in this area affects the society and by extension, the world at large, affecting you and me. Think, for example, today you might go to social media, you see a child, misbehaving. Let me use that statement. And we complain. We complain. Sometimes we ask, does he or she not have shame? While I'm not promoting that, I don't advise it, I'm against it. But the truth is, can we start working to correct them? The breaking relationship. Can parents try to strengthen their relationship with their children? This will go a long way to solve some of these problems. Please drop in the comment section your own thoughts. What are patterns being promoted today that leads to the breaking relationship, that leads to distancing between the parent and the child? What are some of these patterns you know? What are some of the negative effect it can have on the growing child and by extension all of us here? I'd like to hear your own thoughts. Many other people would like to get your own thoughts. In episode 2, I'm going to bring to you the negative impact of the breaking relationship between parent and your child with regards to the impact it has on academic performance of the child. I would like to talk about that. That is going to be in episode 2 of this video. And I'll be seeing you in my next video in that episode 2. Remember to share this video so that many other people can come across it and, of course, watch it and benefit from it. They can also use the lessons from this video to impact on their life positively, as well as help others to improve their lives positively. I'll be seeing you in my next video.